So we're moving out of tier 1. You had 2 running backs in your tier 1. We go to tier number 2, and there's just one man in tier 2.
Texas fight, yeah, Texas fight.
You're double dipping
Texas fight, yeah,
to the alma mater.
Texas fight, yeah.
Usually you're biased against Texas.
And it's goodbye to
So this is a bit of a shock. Your number 3 running back.
Roschon Johnson, okay? It would not be a shock if you sat down and watched film with me, all right? I know. In base level, you think, how could the backup running back for the guy that's number 1 be the number 3 running back in all of college football? It's easy. It happens a lot. Don't be crazy. We just saw a graphic, right? Trent Riverson and Mark Ingram. They're on the same team.
Yeah.
Right?
Michael Carter and Javonte Williams.
Exactly right. How about Ricky Williams and Priest Holmes back in the day? I mean, Ricky Williams was playing fullback for Priest Holmes for 1 year. And say that in your brain. What? One of the greatest running backs ever had a block for somebody else, who ended up being one of the greatest running backs ever, too, in the NFL. But, yes, this kid's the real deal. And, he's a little different, than, of course, the 2 we just talked about. The 2 that we just talked about have 3 rockets up their ass and, 7 rudders to make right-hand turns and cut on a dime, right? I don't know why I went with the boat reference on the rudder.
Though.
But you know what I mean? They can just go, the rudders can make them turn.
File that one away.
All right, I'm filing it away, Mr. Yellow Pants. All right, but this guy is not that. He's not going to make people miss. He's not going to really break a lot of ankles.
He won't make people miss.
Yes, he will. He will. Not the crossover like we're talking about that way.
Go over them.
He will go over them. He will run you over. And he's a little bit more of the guy that, he's a slasher, like I said. And that's what I'm trying to explain to people listening out there without me getting up and, you don't want to watch me move or do anything like that. He's not going to break you down and do that crossover Allen Iverson stuff. But what he is going to do is full speed, little wiggle, nothing great, but stick his foot in the ground and put his head down and run you over. And then his acceleration, he's the biggest guys we've talked at this point. He's 220. And his acceleration is real. It's right up there in the same class as Bijan Robinson and Gibbs when he takes off.
I think it might be exactly the same 10-yard split. I have 1.52 here, and I remember Gibbs was like 1.52, and then
so
Bijan was 1.52.
Listen,
was the clock broken?
Bijan, when I saw this kid hit the hole the first time, I went, damn, okay. This was like watching Gibbs or Bijan. I was going, okay, whoa, the hole is the same.
Yeah, now, Gibbs. So here's the numbers. So Gibbs' 10-yard split was 1.52, same as Johnson. But Gibbs' 40-yard dash was 4.36, which is in the 97th percentile, and the 40-yard dash for Johnson was 4.58, which is in the 40th percentile.
Yeah, he hits a point in his game there where, he just doesn't have the long speed. He's not that kind of guy. But when you talk about tough, realistic NFL yards like we talk about, and a ton of great 10 and 12 and 15 type yard runs, he's going to be great at that. He really is. And he's an NFL starting running back. He just got stuck in a spot where he was behind a guy that's like a freak of nature that only comes around every now and then, in Bijan Robinson, and he was at school with him. But I mean, I love the guy. I mean, right away, size, it's easy, his speed, hits the hole fast, ability to accelerate top-notch. I'm big into the stick the foot in the ground thing. You know that by now. And he can do it violently to make defenders miss. So again, like I said, it's not the breaking down and shaking you that way. It's more of you think I'm gonna run through that hole so fast that you turn and run, and then I can kind of hit the brakes and cut off of it. Am I explaining that the right way?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I just want to make sure I am. But his toughness and physicality is another part that I would say he has that above the other two. He can move the pile and run over people at a little higher level, and
Definitely.
I'm guessing you realized that too as you were watching the highlights.
I think his yards after contact were the best because I watched them in order. I watched Robinson, I watched Gibbs, and then I watched Johnson. I was like, man, he's getting more yards after contact than those guys.
Yeah,
because no one's touching the other guys.
He is a powerhouse. Moves the pile or gets more yards after contact than anyone I have seen yet.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. So I think that's his game. And will he be able to run over those dudes in the NFL? I mean, he is big. He's 6 foot, 220.
Yeah.
But this is the crazy thing, and you mentioned that, don't overlook him because he was behind Robinson. He was also not recruited as a running back. In high school, he was a quarterback in Texas, a running quarterback, but also threw quite a bit, had 7,000 passing yards in his high school career, was a 4-star recruit, and then he was moved to running back in his freshman year due to injuries, and so they didn't even bring him in as a running back. He learned this position, was behind Robinson, and then here you go. He's his number 3 quarterback, running back for Chris Simms.
Well, it's crazy, right? I mean, it really is. But he's great feet.
Here's one thing, though. Let me throw this at you.
Yeah.
In watching it, I was like, all right, are we getting tricked by some awesome offensive line for Texas? And I don't think they have a whole lot of top recruits, but, they're Texas.
Sure.
And those dudes are good.
Yeah.
I was like, part of me was like, are we getting fooled by a good scheme and a good offensive line that's making life easy for these guys?
Well, I think there's, like you said, I don't think there's a ton of draft talent there. But Sarkisian and them, they know what they're doing. Mm-hmm. But there's still so many runs of like, well, there really isn't that much there, and whoa, he got 10 or he got 12. Again, to where you could piece it together, definitely. And you started getting into this, and I start, other running backs we're going to talk about, or even Jahmyr Gibbs, they can sit there and go, well, damn, they had some big holes too, right? So, it certainly wasn't anything that I found like, oh wow, right? I will say I'm keen to this. If holes are just opening up and guys are just running straight, and I'm going whoop-de-do, right? That I'm not like, oh wow, oh god, he had 400 yards rushing. He never had to make one turn or make a cut. Like, so I'm me, I'm never into just letting that overtake my thoughts over the big picture.
And that
thing.
does happen a little bit like with Gibbs. You see some of those plays for Gibbs, but
where
then,
it just separates for him.
Yeah, but then for some of those guys with speed, it's still impressive because there are defenders with angles on them that they just outrun.
Well, that's where, and two, I think that's where these 3 guys, they're maybe not going to get the credit they deserve in some of these ones that you're even talking about, right? Now, there's a skill to that, what you're talking about, and that's where I'm going to lead you here, is like, there is definitely some runs where you watch these top 3 guys go and you go, oh, well, that was got through the hole. Yeah, that was good. And then as you watch other guys as you go along, you start to realize, oh, well, wait, those other guys got through those holes because they're really fast. Like these guys, this hole's the same for this guy here. He just can't get through it. So there is the piecing that together to what you're talking about too, where you see some 12-yard runs and you go, whew, man, he flew through that hole. And then you see that same type of hole for a running back later on in the day, and you go, well, they got 3 yards because he didn't have that extra gear or the ability to accelerate through there quite to the same level as these top guys.
Sometimes you spar with PFF. You go back and forth, right?
Yeah. I talked to them on pod. We had some good talks the other day.
There's good times and bad times sometimes.
Right. The relationship, not personal to the guys there.
No, not at all.
Just don't always see things the way they do.
Not personal to them, just the work that they do, which is not personal at all to any of us.
You're a dick.
They go, he would have been a bell cow back anywhere else in the country.
Yes, no doubt. Another line I'm going to throw you. More I watch, more I like this kid. He is going to wear out defenders through 4 quarters.
Yeah.
That's the other thing, too. He didn't even get a chance to do that. He's going to be a guy that teams are going to play, and you're going to go, oh, he's coming through the hole again. I got to take him on one more time. And he's the kind of guy that he kind of likes it. You could tell he likes it.
Yeah.
He likes punishing you. So, yeah, that's where, and that's where I got into, this guy's a big-time NFL running back. Yeah, he's not a jump cut guy like we talked about, but he's more of a slasher, but he's violent, and his acceleration is real, and his hips are better than I gave it credit for originally. He, to me, I wrote Joe Mixon, Isaiah Pacheco type of runner. That's who he is, in my opinion. It's not going to be a lot of, jiggle and wiggle. It's going to be, I see that hole, and I'm going to go through it 1,000,000 miles per hour. And if you want to get in my way, then so be it. But you're going to pay for getting in my way, and that's where I love Roschon Johnson.
So with those 2 comps you throw out there, he could go anywhere between the 1st and, 7th round. So stay tuned.
Right?
Stay tuned on
Seriously.
that one.
He's like, I don't know where. What we've seen here typically with running back, right, is what? If somebody doesn't go somewhere in the late 20s, it doesn't really seem to happen again until the 3rd round, right? I mean, it's rare. I don't feel like we see a ton of 2nd round running backs every now and then, But Pacheco would, not Pacheco. Roschon Johnson would be a guy that I would certainly think is. I wouldn't be mad if somebody took him, in the second round.
Yeah.
By any stretch of the imagination.
We had no first-round running backs last year, so we did have 3 last year in Hall, Walker, and Cook all went in the second round.
All kind of early in the second round, right? Top half of the second round for the most part there.
Cook was later.
Cook was a little late.
Yeah,
Cook was later for the Bills, later in the second.
And then the year before that, just one in the second round. Javonte Williams was the only second rounder.
Right.
And then you got a lot of, even just 1/3, and then a lot of fourth.
And
fifth,
see, that's how it kind of works out. It's almost like quarterback. It's like those 1 or 2, 3 really highly viewed ones go somewhat early in the draft, and then there's we think this pack of running backs is kind of all close together, so we're not going to draft them in the second, third round, anything like that. So we'll see where it goes. Yo, thanks for watching, homies. It's the off season, but there's no off season for us here at Unbuttoned. Me, Ahmed Fareed, we're going to hit all the stories. So hit subscribe for us, okay? We got a ton coming up. My draft prospect rankings, my Simms top 40 quarterback countdown, and videos of me and NFL QBs playing catch and talking about their development and mechanics. Again, thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe. Peace out, homies. See you soon.